Welcome to Out of the Box with Christine, the podcast for conscious entrepreneurs. Are you willing to step into your greatness? Are you ready to shine? Well, get ready, Truth Seeker. You're in for an amazing ride. And now, here's the host of the show, Christine Blosdale.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Out of the Box with Christine. I'm your host, Christine Blosdale, and I am excited about today's show because we are going to be talking about a subject that is near and dear to my heart, and that is really how to repurpose content. You put something out in the world, and it's amazing and wonderful, and so many of us, we put it out, and there's no echo chamber coming back. We don't know if it was good. We don't know what happened with it, and we just leave it out into the universe. And then we go on and we try and create something else. And we're going to be talking with my guest today on this subject, and I'm super excited. My guest is Holly Worton, and she is an author, podcaster herself, and speaker, and a genius when it comes to repurposing content, and especially to take your content and to create a best-selling book. So welcome to Out of the Box, Holly.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, I do love this because I also wrote a book. I wrote my own little book. I wrote this book, Your Amazing Itty Bitty Podcast Book, and it is an itty bitty book. It is like 35 pages, so it is small, but it's still a book. Yeah. And it became a bestseller. And
well done.
And really, so many of us actually have within us a best-selling book, right?
Yeah. And, you talked about size, but like short books are really popular now because people don't want like 300 pages, like everything you need to know about podcasting. Like, how do I get started? They want targeted, focused information on how to do the one thing that the book is about. So well done for getting a short book out there, because I think a lot of people are put off by that and they think, oh, it's not long enough, I need to pad it out. But no.
Well, what I've learned, and I've learned this from one of the publishing goddesses in the industry, Susie Pruden, is that we have this block around writing a book. I used to think that you had to have a smoking jacket on and a typewriter or a plume, and you had to do a Tom Clancy kind of, 5,000 pages, but you don't. And just exactly what you're saying. A lot of times those small books are perfect because we don't have time in our lives to read a big, massive thing. And if you're an expert in your field, you can help people out with those small books. Talk about some of the books that you've created, that you've produced as well.
So I have two kind of very different types of books. So I've got a series of business mindset books because I used to be a business mindset coach. And so I've got books on business blocks and business beliefs and business visibility and business intuition. And then I wrote a book this year on business books because I have so many friends who want to write a book, who've been writing a book. They're like,
I've been writing a book for 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're stuck. It's just not happening. They're not motivated. And I think it's because they built the book up in their heads to be this huge thing. Like, I've written 28 books. I get shit done and I get them out there. And then if I want to update them later, I update them later. But like, I don't treat it as this perfect, precious diamond thing. Like, I do the best job I can. I obviously make it professional and polished and good, but I get it out there. And I feel like so many people are stuck because it's like they have the one book that they're going to release and it has to be like the perfect everything. So that's why I got the idea of writing this book about business books, taking existing content you've already got, whether that's podcast transcripts, video transcripts, blog post series, and turning that into your book and then launching it to the bestseller list. Because I think that's a really good way to create your first book and to kind of get over yourself and get over that perfection, because it's stuff you've already created. You're just repurposing it into a different format.
Exactly. And in addition, I mean, when I'm telling people why they need to create a podcast, it's not just because, you want people to listen to you and you want to have a podcast. I have a podcast. It's like, it's like the latest thing. I've got a rare poodle and, I've got a podcast. No, the reason why is because you can use that podcast as a business builder, and you can take your episode transcripts and create a book out of it, but you can also create a course and have those episodes be modules in your course. We create so much that can be repurposed. And one of the best, I think one of the best things is to create it into the book, because then also you have something tangible. And if it does make it to a bestseller list, then you also have that as your expertise. You can put that on your website too. Best-selling author.
Yeah,
Trust me, I
absolutely.
open with that all the time.
Yeah, it's a good thing, and it's easier than I think people think. And I think another thing that's really important is that everyone has their preferred method of learning. So I've been podcasting for 8 years. I love podcasting. I listen to podcasts. I listen to your podcasts. you went out my run this morning. I listened to like 2 episodes. But I don't retain any of the information. Like, I'm not an auditory learner. So it would really help me for a lot of podcasts to either have the transcript or to have a book about a similar topic, because I learn through reading. Like, I get entertained through podcasts, but the information, it like goes in one ear and goes out the other. So that serves to help other people who may be listening to your podcast who, don't retain the information.
And it is also, you have the ability then to as well to make a little bit of extra money. Now, yes. I'm going to say right off from this get-go, this is not about making a lot of money on sales. This is about being that way into the door, right? So with a best-selling book, then you have the ability to get on more shows. People are going to be talking to you more. If you're a coach or a consultant, you have a little bit, your credibility is a little bit better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because you know how to formulate your ideas.
And you know how to take action because you did it.
Yeah.
So talk to our listeners and our viewers that are on YouTube about the process of repurposing your content into a book. Because a lot of people say, well, how do I get this to become a book?
Yeah. So if it's a podcast transcript or a video transcript, the language is very different because you're speaking. So you're going to need to do a fair amount of editing so that it reads like a book rather than a transcript.
Thank you for saying that, Holly. No, because I've got clients that say, well, I'll just take the transcript, and then just make it into a book. And I'm like, no, you talk differently than you read.
Yeah, and you talk differently than you write, but it's still your voice. So it's not that hard to edit.
Yeah.
And it's something that you could do yourself. You could hire someone to do it for you, but it's really easy editing because you're using your voice. And I write much like I speak, but not exactly how I speak. But I write in a very informal style, like I'm speaking to the reader. So it doesn't have to be this great literary voice.
It's not Shakespeare.
No. And people don't want that from a business book. So, just chill, like take it easy, but you do need to edit it. Otherwise it's going to be really uncomfortable to read. I mean, we've all read podcast transcripts. They're great. They're really useful, but they read like a transcript.
Right. Oh, that's so true. What I do, what I did in particular with the podcast book that I have is that as I'm writing too, first of all, I just actually just let it all out and then come back and sweeten it, come back and sweeten it. But I also read it out loud. I read it out loud as I'm writing it and then coming back to it, because I want to make sure too that it is in my character and my voice as well. Yeah. And I've had the best compliment. Don't you think this is the best compliment from anybody? Is that when they read your book, they go, I totally got you. I like your sense of humor, whatever the genre that you're writing. But when they give you that feedback that they actually heard you.
Yeah.
Or they read you, but they felt you and they heard you.
Yeah.
That's such a great feeling.
And that's the great thing about a book, even a short book, is that, we all talk about how in order for someone to be a client, they have to know you and like you and trust you. But after reading your book, they're going to get to know you. If they've gotten to the end of the book, they probably like you and they trust you because you've been talking about your expertise in this book. So it's such an easy way to get that know, like, trust that all, we've been hearing about in marketing for decades.
Do you, with potential clients, do you ever offer them your book or offer them a free copy of your book?
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly an ebook copy, because that's easy to just get out there. Whereas,
Yeah.
I'm based in England and not all of my clients are here. So it's a bit trickier to send out a paperback. But yeah, absolutely.
So what else do people need to keep in mind when it comes to repurposing their content, especially focused on the book angle, let's say?
Mm,
Um, a lot of people I'm getting from the general zeitgeist are saying, well, great. How does it become an actual book? Do
mm.
I go to a publisher? Do I self-publish? If I self-publish, how do I do that?
Yeah. So in my book, Business Beliefs, I talk, or business books, I talk all about like all the little steps on how to self-publish. I'm a massive fan of independent publishing because I I'm a fast mover. Like I get stuff done. I don't want to sit around for 2 years and wait for a book to come out. And I want to keep producing and I want to keep helping people with my writing. So I go with independent publishing, and that's what I recommend for most people. If someone really wants to traditionally publish, great, go for it. But that's a much longer process. So you need to edit the book, you need to proofread it, it needs to be a professional project. And I think the important thing is it needs to help, like it needs to have like meat, it needs to help people. Like it shouldn't just be a sales pitch. Absolutely seed your offerings, mention the kind of client work you do throughout the book so that people know what you do. But it should have really solid content in it, even if it's a short book. Because that's what's going to make people trust you and want to move on to work with you.
Yeah.
And then from there, as you said, there's a whole bunch of technical things in terms of getting the cover designer and getting it typeset and getting the ebook formatted. But that stuff is really, really easy to learn, or you can hire someone to do that for you. One of the things that I do is I manage the project for potential authors. But like I said, in the book, I lay it all out so that people
So
can
you
do it on
do
their
that.
own.
You do that for clients. Like if somebody
I
wanted
do.
to come
Yeah.
to you and say, here's my idea for a book, you would take them
Yep.
through that process. That's a
Yeah,
great service.
it
There you
is.
go. Oh, I
Done for
like
you
that.
book. Take your
Okay,
content and turn it into a book.
I might take you up on that because
Ooh, that would
yeah,
be fun.
because I got a lot of books in me. I got.
Yeah.
Well, no, and it does. It really. It also it just helps make you look a little bit more professional.
Yeah.
When you're able, and it doesn't matter what field. I mean, there's a book in everybody, really,
Yeah.
as long as there's something that you're really passionate about and you're an expert in some way.
Yeah.
I like to say that too, is having something that is, steps, the top 10 steps, the top 10 tips, the
Yeah.
top, things that people can actually do in a relatively short time by going through your short book. You're teaching them something. And I really liked what you said about don't make it all about you and your business.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with a podcast. They will smell that a mile away and run.
Yeah. Like you can absolutely use your book as a lead magnet into your marketing funnel, but it shouldn't be a salesy book. Like it should be, solid helping information.
I agree. Because I when I see those books, because I can see them, I can see them a mile away. I open up the first couple pages and I'm like, nope,
Like, oh,
you're gonna just sell me the whole time. So,
gross.
so you've got several books out and you provide that service for people, which is
Yeah.
brilliant. How do people get in touch with you?
My website is hollywworton.com. And my website is kind of a mishmash because the other thing that I write about is personal growth through outdoor adventures. So my podcast is about that. A lot of my books are about that, but I also have a work with me section, which explains the work that I do in terms of helping people get their book out.
Fantastic. You're much like me. You're like a Renaissance woman. Yeah, because people go to my website and they're like, what is it that you do? I do everything. I do everything. What is it that you need? I do everything.
Yeah.
No, that's fabulous. And what are there any projects that you're working on yourself that you're gonna be releasing soon? Any other new books?
I just released a bunch of books. So I just released my business book. I just released a book called Workations for Writers, because one of the ways that I get all this work done is that I do what I call workations, where once a month I book a hotel for a couple of nights and I just go there and just hyper focus on a book project. So I wrote that into a book because I think it's a really great way of getting stuff done. It's really juicy.
The workations. I love that.
Yeah.
I really
it's
do.
good.
Instead of just sitting in your same office or your same
No.
desk area,
Yeah.
taking yourself outside. That's a great tip for people.
Yeah, it's great. It works really, really well. I can't get writing done in my normal office. I have to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I did. I had to go to, you know what? I went to write this. I went to a noisy cafe,
Wow.
and I don't know how I did it. I don't know, with all the chaos and
Yeah.
stuff going on behind me. Um, I was able to hyper focus, but it's like I needed to have some people around me so
Yeah.
that I wasn't feeling completely alone, because it can be it can be an alone feeling, right? Writing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
can.
That's why I had to have a bunch of people around me. I don't know how I got it done, but but I did.
Well, that's the thing
Oh,
though. You've got to find what works for you. I mean, for you, noise in the background was really useful. For me, I don't think that would work. So you've got to give it a try and see what's your thing.
and then what are some examples of workations that you've gone to?
So this is something I've been doing every month since like 2015. So I've
Wow.
had, yeah. Obviously during lockdown couldn't do that, but yeah. So I've got a couple of different places that I go. So one of them is this hotel that's like 25 minutes from my house. It's an airport hotel. It's like one of those big high-rise things. I just lock myself up in there, order room service for dinner, but I just work the whole time. And another place is this lovely little like cottage on this farm, and it's got beautiful view with like green garden and flowers and plants and trees, and it's really lovely. So that's always my first choice. But if I can't get in there, I've got the high-rise hotel as a backup.
I love that. And you just kind of sequester yourself. Just say, okay, I'm here and I'm going to create. Now, do you go there with your idea in mind and your
Yes,
project in
yes,
mind? Okay. You don't just
absolutely.
go there
Yes.
and say, well, I'm going to figure it out on the
Well, I usually have a list of projects. So sometimes I'll go there with my list of ideas and I'll be like, what do I feel like working on? And then I'll pick one and I will just do that. However, I usually go into the workation knowing exactly what I'm going to write.
That's clever. Yeah. Because if not, you'd get there and you just stare at the wall going, ah. My problem, and I think this is a problem of a lot of entrepreneurs, conscious entrepreneurs as well,
Yes.
is that we have too many things going on in our heads.
Yeah.
There's too many things. We're spinning
Yeah.
too many plates. And what happens, either we drop those plates or we become so overwhelmed with the stuff that we want to do that we don't do anything.
Yeah.
Can you address that? Do you can you relate?
Yeah, absolutely can relate, because I've got so many ideas and like keep getting more ideas. And so I've got like Evernote files for all my different like types of like book ideas and course ideas and this idea, like blog post ideas. And so my tip is to get your ideas organized somewhere, whether it's in a notebook or an Evernote page or whatever. Get them out of your head, get them in a place where you know they'll be safe and where you don't feel like you have to like jump on them. Because I think one of the things, as you said, we're spinning a lot of plates and then we get all these ideas, and then we try to spin more plates and then it just turns into chaos. So get them somewhere safe so you know they're there, and then you can pick one and work on it when you've got the time to work on it. But don't try to do all your ideas at once, because that's chaos.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Because you
Don't
will
be
be
tempted.
frozen in fear as well. And your office will look like mine. See, nobody can tell. Everybody sees from the camera. It looks like, oh, it's just plain. No, I got chaos going here because I'm teaching group classes I'm teaching group introduction to podcasting classes, one-on-one clients, an entrepreneurial group class as well. And so it's also it really is. It's also about keeping organized. And I need to do that today, because I am not as organized as I'd like to be.
I know. I'm a very organized person, like with information. And I used to be really organized with stuff. But somehow this year, like I'm looking around at my office as I say this, I've got a lot of stuff that's like needs to be organized.
Okay, we'll do it together. You do it, you do it there, and I'll do it here. Oh, thank you so very much for being on Out of the Box with Christine. Any last parting words that you want to give our listeners and our viewers? I'll make sure that I put your website link, because I'm going to talk to you about possibly you working on my book, creating my book. But any last words you want to give our listeners?
just do it. Like if you feel like you're being a perfectionist about it, or if you're scared of it, like just take the next step on your book. And if you are, if you are scared of it, like work on your mindset, work on your business mindset, work on your author mindset, identify your fears, your blocks, your limiting beliefs around becoming an author, and then change those beliefs using a technique like NLP or Psych K or something like that, that works to actually reprogram beliefs so that you can get over yourself and do the stuff you need to do to get your book out there. Because I think a lot of authors have a lot of fears, and that's fine. That's normal. And you can do something about that.
And you can do something about it. You can contact Holly Worton.
Yeah. Yes.
There we go.
Or
that
I can
was a
help.
good plug. Thank you again so
Thank
much.
you.
And folks, if you want to, you definitely need to go to her website. It's hollyworton.com. I'll spell that for you. HOLLYWORTON.com, hollyworton.com. The link to that website will be in the show notes so that you can just click on it and you can get there and you can check out her books that she's created as well. So thank you again so much, Holly. I
Thank
so
you.
appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime on Out of the Box.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you, wonderful listeners and viewers on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Remember, if you want more information about this podcast, you can go to outoftheboxwithchristine.com. And if you want more information about me and my coaching, you can go to christineblasdale.com. Until next time, as I always say, remember to think outside that damn box. Bye for now.